Now, the very first question I have comes from Lee Marsh, and Lee says, "What was the most fun that you had in Oz during your trip?" Um, if you follow me on Instagram, some of this is stuff that you've seen. I had the best time. First of all, I love Australia. I've been there many times. Mythbusters was produced out of Sydney, Australia, and much of my crew was Aussie for much of the run of Mythbusters. And the show itself has a deeply Awker sense of humor. And so I feel very at home among Australians. A couple weeks before I left, I got an email from one of the folks I know from Weta Workshop, who goes by the name Captain Tinfoil, or Waz. And Waz wanted me to know that his daughter and her partner have a small shop called Hench and Scrap where they do cosplay. And I went and visited their shop in Adelaide, and it was spectacular. Their shop is Hench and Scrap. That is Oren Tremont, and Claire Beaton. Claire was the youngest Weta, I think one of the youngest people working on Lord of the Rings, and last year she won Cosplay Champ at PAX Melbourne. That was the second time she won it. We had a wonderful afternoon in their shop, chatting, talking about process, talking about things that we made, showing stuff, showing pictures, and mostly geeking out. They make beautiful puppets and incredible cosplay. And it's just so much fun to dive all the way in when you see something that someone has made with all of their love and their heart, and you can highlight things that you see about it and start to talk about it. It was a thrilling afternoon. I also got to see two of my favorite YouTubers. One I had never met, IRL. On Monday in Brisbane, I had dinner with Chris from ClickSpring. Dude, we have been corresponding for years. We are friends, but we had never met in real life, and it was lovely to finally meet. I got to tell you, both of us were having the intense strangeness of hearing the other's voice in the world, because we both watch each other's videos religiously, and hearing the other one across from us making a point was hilarious. I also got to visit and spend the day with Curtis and Karen and their team from Cutting Edge Engineering. Dude, so great. I was starstruck seeing the shop. And if I go back, I totally want to do stuff with both Chris and with Cutting Edge Engineering. I was trying to get together with John Plant from Primitive Technologies, but he had too much to do before the rainy season set in. Totally understand. But again, this was my first international con, first time I was doing a con in Australia. I want to do more. Again, I love that country. One little thing about visiting Oz is just like here, sports gambling is now legal down under, and there's all these ads about things you can do with sports gambling, and they all finish with a disclaimer that, you know, gambling is most likely you're going to lose. And the way it does it is every gambling ad finishes with, "Chances are you're about to lose. Chances are you're about to lose." I don't know, for some reason that mantra just kept on banging through my head. Hench and Scrap, Owen Tremont, Claire Beaton, yep, Cutting Edge. I also got to see my good friend Mark Ratz. Mark Ratz is many different things, but you would know his work as an amazing painter of movie posters, one of the great living interpreters of Harrison Ford's face. Mark Ratz just does the most beautiful character drawings, and I have always loved his work. He's been a friend for about half a decade, and I showed up to the con, and Mark Ratz had drawn this, me as my hero in Blade Runner garb, and Mark, knowing me as he does, went so far as to not use the original Blade Runner serial number on the blaster. No. He actually replicated the serial number from my personal blaster, 9613, on this poster. I got to have dinner with Mark a couple of times, and it was spectacular. We will be making these posters available at Tested. Keep an eye on this space because, yeah, dude, this is crazy. And then there were also, just before I roll forward, there were also some incredible gifts. I wanted to talk about a woman from Custom Cuddles. came up to my table and brought me this. And I was thinking that this was a retail item, but no. Custom Cuddles makes stuff like this. She made this for me in putting my raptor, which we just finished painting like 3.5 weeks ago, right where I'm sitting, in a spacesuit labeled Savage and with a meatball logo that says roar, roar. This is one of the craziest things anyone's given me. Also, plus, when she put a raptor into a spacesuit, she was thinking, you know what? I'll bet their toes would break the spacesuit, which of course they would. And so in the sewing, she includes the talons bursting through the feet of the spacesuit. That is a spectacular thing, and it made me very happy. I also was inducted into a wonderful company called the Sons of Obi-Wan, which is a lightsaber and fighting academy that teaches, hold on, I want to make sure I get this right, cognitive and dialectical skills to the neurospicy and anyone who wants to join. They have made an indestructible lightsaber, and they made one for me and gave it to me. I don't have it here. I will do a piece about it. But the Luke Boynton, who founded the Sons of Obi-Wan and is a good friend of Mark Ratz, inducted me into the Sons of Obi-Wan. He paid me some wonderful compliments, and then he paid me the most incredible compliment of making me a bag, which blew my mind to smithereens. He handmade this bag for me. I cannot answer the phone. He handmade this bag for me with the NASA meatball. This is the Apollo 11 patch, and then he included the patch for the VF-51 Screaming Eagles, which Neil Armstrong was a member of. Everything here is hand done by Luke, and you can feel it. You can feel the mastery, and I can feel the love. And thank you, Luke. Thank you, Sons of Obi-Wan. Thank you, Custom Cuddles. Thank you, everyone in Australia. I had so many amazing conversations in line. I saw some insanely inspiring costumes. And there's just one thing I wanted to talk about. So Mark Ratz and I were having dinner one night, and we were talking about what our particular pleasures were at a con. And one of the most lovely moments is when a young person comes to you to show you their work, and their work is remarkable. Now, that happens a lot. And one of the particular things is that they often don't know how remarkable it is. And it feels lovely to be able to say, you should know that not everyone understands form and color as well as you're exhibiting here. And they'll be like, oh, this is my first cosplay. And you're like, yeah, you should know. This is special. You are special at this. I have gotten to tell many people over the years this, and so has Mark. And in fact, actually, someone even came up to my table, and they were a professional artist that said they got into it because Mark had told them, follow your God-given gifts and execute. And they did, and it changed their life. Again, if you came to my line in Australia, thank you. I really appreciate it. I felt so, so welcome there. Also, Mythbusters is either currently airing or was airing super recently in Australia, because there's an abiding way I am way more famous in Australia than I am in the United States. That was just in terms of the people coming up to me on the street and the social interactions I had. Being in Australia last week felt like me in the United States, like circa 2010, 2009, when the show was at its peak. On this front of talking about cons, Vicky Bly says, you have talked about how exhilarating and exhausting meet and greets can be. How do you prepare for them? And what would you like your fans to know or do in preparation for meeting you? That is a great question. Oh, and by the way, a friend of mine was thrilled to meet you in Brisbane. Oh, good. I like giving value for the interaction. How do I prepare for them? One of the ways in which I prepare to go to a con is that I always bring someone with me. I don't necessarily have to. It is a cost that I incur. But I find that the con is a very overwhelming experience, and the con provides help. But I personally need to sort of exist in a space in my head where I don't want to be having to deal too much with the logistics. And if I take the con help, I still have to manage a whole bunch of my own logistics, which is totally fine, and I can do it. but I have a better experience when I bring someone with me. So that's how I prepare. I always have someone in my corner that I can bounce off of and someone familiar. That makes the whole weekend go easier for me. Um, I don't have much to say to a fan. I will say one thing is to just set your phone, when you're setting your phone up and getting ready to take a selfie, number one, hand the phone to me. I love taking selfies. I'm really good at it. One of the key moments of doing a selfie is, to me, it's holding the phone like this, 2 fingers in the middle, index and pinky, holding the phone like that, and then taking the picture like that. Works great. Let me do it. I'll totally get it right, and I'll take several. The other thing I want to remind you of is take the timer off your phone. The number of times I've held up a phone and had to wait through 5 seconds, and now I know how to reset almost every phone from its timer. But in the beginning, there was some awkward waiting. That's the only thing I have to say. Just make sure your phone is ready to go. Oh, but this is interesting. Floaty, Plowtey asks, you've been to Comic-Cons in different parts of the world. Is there a country, region, culture whose approach to cosplay was different or otherwise excites you to return to that area? Not yet. Like I said, Australia was my first foreign con. Hopefully more coming. And I was actually excited to see what was different. And in many ways, and look, Australia and American culture, there are different cultures, but there's a lot of, they ven a lot. And there's a ton of ways in which the Adelaide and Brisbane cons felt completely regular to me. They felt like cons that I go to. They felt right up the middle, as it were. But as I expand my international travels over the coming years, I look forward to finding out if that is true everywhere, or what kind of interesting magic I may encounter in different cultures. Charles M. asks a question here. I've answered this one and this one. Charles M. says, is there a place you have always wanted to visit but haven't had the time to go? Dude, so many places. I just wrote down underneath here, Antarctica. I would love to go to Antarctica. The Colosseum in Rome. I know, I've been to Rome, but I haven't seen the Colosseum. Machu Picchu. My mom climbed Machu Picchu a few years ago. I've also always wanted to go to the bottom of the ocean, and if someone wants to bring me to space, I will say yes. Tons of places. Too many places to go. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I wanted to briefly mention that you could become a tested member. I know, everybody is competing for you to become a member of their thing. What I want to express to you is that the Tested membership has become such an important part of the Tested family. We get tremendous feedback from the Tested members, and they expand the stories that we can tell and the things that we have access to, and you can become a part of it right now by clicking on the link below. See you in the chat.